We're going to continue it right now with Marc, Luino, and Jomboy talking about tools to run a baseball media company. What's up, guys?
How you doing? Thanks for having us.
So I know you talk about baseball so much. You do this is what you do endlessly, and I figure, you know what? You have other expertise now. You guys have been doing this for so long that like there's all this extra stuff that I'm sure you know so much about, and I'm sure you have to have a passion for it in some level of like finding the best way to run what you guys do. And it's just not talked about at all inside the industry. I've had some great conversations with people at events, and it's just one of those things like, yeah, wait, we don't really have this forum to really open up about this and kind of discover things for people. And oh my gosh, we have made it to the end, by the way. We actually have raised $10,000 as of right now.
Let's go.
We're not going to end it at 10,000. Hopefully we can go past it. Alex Sawchik with $200. Shirt off is what he says. Sorry, fine. I will do this. How's that? Is that okay, Alex? I don't think I've ever seen you not in a sweatshirt there, Jomboy. So I don't know if there is a shirt underneath. Actually,
hoodies only. Yeah, it's waterproof. It's nonstop.
But really, thank you guys so much for being a part of this. Obviously, I think everyone knows Marc, Luino, Giraffe Neck Marc, doing his stuff on YouTube. Jomboy, of course, as well, has done a lot of stuff on YouTube, but also branched out to many other things as well. And I really just wanted to kind of start with each of you just kind of talking about your process, really, of like what is it for you when you guys make so much content, and just like the daily bit of it, like how much of that is spent creating things and how much of that is scheduling and planning. And Marc, I want to start with you with that.
Yeah, honestly, I think a lot of the time and effort goes into just thinking about what the videos are going to be on my side. You need to find stuff that works. You got to find videos that people want to watch. Like there may be an idea that I think is good, but at the end of the day, if nobody else thinks it's good, it's probably not worth my time. So a lot of effort goes into the backside of things, of really planning out and thinking exactly what I want to title, thumbnail, and just make the content look out to be.
Right. And I should have asked this before, of course, too. Also, just kind of what is the full range that you would say of the stuff that you make?
Yeah. So I like to think I'm a very like an opinion rankings analysis channel. So a lot of the times you'll see me, like I do my 12 days of MLB rankings every single year, where I rank every position every single day going up to Christmas. And then I also like play some quizzes, do some trivia stuff, and just really want to talk about baseball and give my opinion on whatever's going on. You don't have to agree with it. A lot of people don't agree with my rankings or my predictions per se, but it's always a lot of fun.
Right. So that's mostly just a YouTube video or or podcasting. I believe those are the two major things. Yeah. And on top of that, is there anything that you do that's outside of those two major things, like say specifically for shorts on TikTok or Twitter or YouTube, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have started to plan out more short form content that's not just going to be ripped from a video. I think that's stuff that performs best for me is when there's like an actual short form plan. So that's something, especially in 2024, I really want to attack, because I noticed when I really put time into it last year, it did really well. It's something that is super important. I think any sort of baseball creator or creator in general should make sure that they utilize it.
Absolutely. And yeah, Jomboy too. Same question first, is just say, what is the full range of everything that you're doing now?
Yeah, we do a lot. So, I mean, me personally, I have the breakdowns on the main channel. Jake and I do Weekly Dumb on the main channel. And then like Things You Missed is a show that's kind of a collection of, breaking down odd sports and interesting stuff that probably way off the radar. And then we have Talking Yanks, Talking Baseball. I do Morning. We have a YouTube channel where we, react to stuff or play GeoGuessr, all like whatever, non-baseball silly stuff. And then we have our Warehouse Games channel where we are creating our own sports and our own leagues and running like full productions. That's been a lot of fun. So
that's incredible. Yeah, man. It's been really great to see just kind of the expansion of what you're doing, and also doing things that you enjoy, right? You're doing stuff that's not necessarily just, okay, I have to do this, whatever. It's like, no, this will be fun and we'll make this work. And I think it's a really cool thing that see that progression from you.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's like a dream that we can think of something and then be like, all right, let's try this out. Let's have some fun. That's how all of our new shows start. It's kind of just the ideas always come. It's just, do I have time to do it? Can we do it? Do we have the team to do it? And there's probably, always a dozen or so things on the, the back of my brain that's like, oh, we have a free day. Let's do this.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's part of the struggle, really, is like, I've seen it certainly. I mean, it's obviously completely different than it was 10 years ago with me just in this room randomly being like, oh, let's do a gift database, whatever. It's now there are many things we can do, but it's about, okay, what do we want to do? What is actually the amount of resources that we have? What would be the most fun and successful at the same time? And there are some things that, yeah, we know that would be good, but that means we have to pull it away from something else. And that's always a hard conversation to have with other people too, is that they think, well, why don't you do this? This would be so great. And there are so many underlying elements that say, yes, it would, but that means I need to pull this person off of this thing. That means I need to go and do that. And then it's not as efficient.
Yeah.
And one thing I really, really lean on is efficiency.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It's if you're doing something brand new that does not pull in from other things in any way, oh, that's like it's the time it takes to do that, and then everything else surrounding it as well. But if you can make it efficient, then it's like, sure, I'll do an article on that. I just did all the work from that. That's no problem. That's another 30 minutes. Who cares? That's easy instead of a full day. And that's something that I'm sure, Jomboy, you got to deal with a ton.
Yeah, it's my favorite thing is when we discover like a new way to expedite a process or figure out like how to make it quicker. And a lot of my editing is more of, setting it up takes most of the time, and then you have the template, and then I can rip through it. But I'm not the most creative editor or skilled with effects and stuff, but I pride myself on being fast and efficient and like knowing exactly what I want this to be, and then just kind of streamlining the process.
Yeah. And Jimmy, going back to that before of just kind of like the things that you're doing each day, is it, I mean, I imagine each, Monday through Friday, for example, it's a different schedule each day, but what is the general routine of this? Do you have a chunk set up each day that's cool? This is content creation. This is planning. This is management, etc.
Yeah. So in the off season, it's nice because I go to sleep early with my my 2-year-old son, and I wake up really early. So Mondays and Tuesdays from like 5:30 in the morning until 10 is my time to do like breakdowns or things you missed, or like my editing time. That's personal work. Mm-hmm. And then from 11, or say from 10 to 3 or 4 is meetings and podcasts and recording videos that include, other people on our team. And then Wednesday, that's kind of our fun day. We front load our weeks, Monday and Tuesday. Like they're long, busy days.
No, I do the same thing.
Wednesday is we do all of our kind of non-baseball fun recording stuff. That's a little more silly. And I'll have a block of personal time in there to do my own editing. And then Thursdays, we're at the warehouse most Thursdays. And that's fun because it's a completely different side of my brain. I'm not editing. I'm not on camera. Like the content isn't me talking or telling an opinion or sharing. We're creating sports, and it's more setting up the cameras and the replays and how does this sport look the best on this camera? How do we get the replay? So it's different element of my brain. And then obviously playing the sports is fun. And then Friday's back in the office, and it's kind of like a cleanup day for me. Is like what's left over that I didn't get to, and that's Friday.
Sure, nice. And then off season's like completely off for you for the weekends, and then in season, of course, it's different with Yankee games and everything else going on. Yeah,
in season Saturday's the only true off day because we record every Sunday at the end of the series. So that's a bummer for my wife, but I record those from home. So it's like, watch the game, record a podcast, but it means we can't really go out and about. And then I can't wake up as early and go to sleep as early. So I actually don't know what it's going to be. We'll find out this next season.
And yeah, Mark, just to go back to that, just more of that structure. How's that for you?
Yeah, going to sound a lot different. No waking up early or going to bed early. No kid here. I'm waking up pretty late, to be honest. A lot of, I think my most productive work gets done later in the day for me. I'm a bit of a slow starter in the morning. So usually like I have to eat lunch first before I really want to start attacking things. But like you're looking at my schedule of being like waking up around like 10, 11 o'clock and going to bed at like 2, 3 o'clock. Especially during the season, that makes a lot more sense because at least I get to see the end of the West Coast games and then kind of just get to wrap up the night. So yeah, my schedule is definitely a little bit different, but I think at the end of the day, it's very similar of trying to chunk off certain things to make sure that you can stay on top of it so that things don't fall behind.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely. I mean, as far as just kind of like the, I think it's more loose. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mark, just about like, okay, creating videos and then planning them out and then podcasting and everything. It's a different process of, as far as management goes, I mean, how many do you have anyone helping you on like for editing or for anything else going on?
Yeah, I've got an editor right now, and he does a great job. Always looking for more editors because some people have things that they have to do in real life, so you want to make sure that you also give them the time that they need to have free time and whatnot. But yeah, definitely some editors, and really that's pretty much it. Like with the podcast, I obviously get help from James, who will help with the editing or will help with the audio side of things. But really, at the end of the day, like deciding what I'm doing, what's being recorded, recording it, that's going to be all me.
Yeah, sure, man. So I mean, yeah, Jimmy, it's kind of, I'm a little similar with you, but it's not, I wish I could be a 5:30 a.m. guy, but I understand it's a little bit different having a kid too. It changes things a little bit. I mean, off season and regular season are very different because I can actually like go to sleep whenever I want in the off season. And that's really nice instead of me having to write this SB roundup every single night. And it's kind of one of those things, I'm sure you guys are the same way, where it's, you have those nights where it's like, I don't want to do this, but tonight's not going to be the night that tradition ends.
Yeah.
It's just like, I can't let that happen. It's just in the back of your mind, like, no. Okay, fine.
I was like that for a while, and then I
Yeah.
broke it, and then I'm like, I'm so glad I broke that.
Once you break it, it's so much easier.
So I didn't miss a post game recap for the Yankees for 4 seasons, I think. After every single game, and it began, and then I had a kid, and I was just like, I was still watching the games. I had the thoughts in my head. I'd record the video, and I'd just be like, that is not the tone people want to hear right now, and I can't do it differently. So once I stopped, I was like, okay, all right, great. I'm glad I stopped. Cal Ripken probably wishes he took a couple days off. No, I'm joking.
So I mean,
that's pretty cool.
What's so interesting, like going back to the whole efficiency thing, is, man, I've said for ages I want to have someone on the weekends at the very least that like covers me then and does it. What I've also realized though is that everything that I do at Pitcher List is from the seed of the SB Roundup though. So I put in that effort because that's me covering every single start, right? And all I do is I talk about every start. Then I have other content. So in the morning I have the streaming rankings. Well, that's just because I know the starters and what they did. And then I have the morning podcast I do. That's just me regurgitating what I just wrote and did last night. Then I have the list on Mondays. And then those things are reconsolidating and making me reinforce my memory of what I wrote of it. So then it's just always there. And then I can do anything I want really from the top of my head in season because I put in that effort at night. And it sucks because it's like midnight every night. Well, this is what I'm doing. And I can't just go to bed whenever, However, it's been, I think, 9 straight seasons doing that.
Wow.
The only time I didn't was my sister's wedding. And whatever, one night, fine. I didn't do it.
That does make sense though, that, you're baking in your research, and then off of that, you got all these rivers of content that come off, kind of.
And that's kind of where the efficiency part comes in for me. But it's very much like, it's early morning. I created this thing with the live stream here on Playback, where it's every morning I just do work. Like I'm working. I think Jimmy, you do that too. Actually, you guys have I think I saw that you have a team meeting that you live stream now. Is that right?
Yeah. So we have a podcast called the Morning Meeting, which is me and Matt on our team, who's a manager on the content strategy. So it's a lot of chats about that. It was a podcast that was kind of a free for all, whatever I wanted to be. It started in during the pandemic, and it got picked up an audience. And then we realized, hey, a better use of our time is kind of going over some numbers and some stats and some ideas. And it's very open. We have people ask questions about the business. And from there, we've actually developed some ideas or tinkered with some stuff, gone over numbers together. And we're pretty transparent about a lot of that stuff.
I think that's fantastic, right? Like you're bringing in the community so that it doesn't feel like there's that wall. I certainly I talk a ton about like what we're doing in business choices we do. A lot of the things that I tease about, like in public on podcasts and stuff, I'll just say it on the live stream. Those are the people like, sure, it's fine. I'll say to you guys are here, come on in. But then outside, people don't really know what PLX is, or actually, if you're watching the live streams with me, you guys know who this special guest is on Saturday, which I'm super excited about. But stuff like that, where it's the best study hall I've ever had. Like I need to do those 3 things in the morning, right? And they're all just rooting me on to do it. It's the coolest thing ever. And I really encourage that. And Marc, I mean, have you jumped into the live streaming world, you have a little bit, I think.
Yeah, so that's kind of where I started. Was I did a lot of like live stream of MLB
Right,
the
the
Show,
FIFA. Yeah,
and
and
FIFA
that's
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, so I was more on the gaming side at first, and that was just simply because like the actual Major League Baseball community really did not exist on YouTube at the time when I was doing that.
Right.
Because we remember, and I'm sure Jomboy has felt this a lot too. Like the copyright strikes were out of control. If you did anything, 6-7 years ago, they were really coming at you. So that was kind of a way for me to build a community because, of course, when you're live, you get to actually live interact with these people. And hopefully my goal was to build that community into what would eventually turn into what I've done now, which is being able to talk about real baseball. So, live streaming is a lot of fun. It's exhausting, though. I don't know about you guys, but like after a live stream, especially like a couple hours, I feel like I got to take a deep breath. Like I need to go sit down, like take a shower or something. It's a lot.
Yeah, there's this feeling like you always need to entertain during it. And honestly, I just am silent at times for like 30 minutes. Like I've realized that this is for me. It allows me to say, look, I'm doing my work, and I will look at comments. If you guys have questions, I'll answer it. I'll put on some lo-fi music, and I'll just type away and just I do the notes for the list for like an hour and a half as I just kind of spit it all out. But like I'll be interrupted. There'll be tangents. There'll be questions, and that kind of has the flow. But it's the less I felt as if I needed to keep their attention on me right now. It actually felt, I mean, chat, you can say it right now. You can relate, but like, a lot of times you just put it in the background. You want to have it as work, and it's there. And it's not you click to it. It's like, I need to be entertained right now. It's about feeling a whole crew of people that are in on it together. And when that happened, then I was like, okay, cool. Like I can relax a little bit. But I remember the first time I started doing it, I kept having like small mini nightmares that I was live streaming as I slept. And I don't know if you guys have ever had that one. You must have.
Live streams are really tiring. But what I get, what bums me out about them, and I enjoy them. We do them in the off season or the postseason for playoff games and kind of like watch alongs. I have a really good memory, but when you're live streaming, you're outputting. Like everything that you're watching, it's taking a U-turn into your head, out your mouth to the audience. And I will walk away from a game, or anyone that does podcast knows this. You turn the mics off and you're like, what the hell did we just say?
Yeah, right.
Like, what? And you don't remember anything. So it's a little bit of a bummer because you talk to any like you talk to any journalist that's sitting in the press box and they're note taking during the games. Like they're studying it. They got the craziest memories of all these playoff games, all these moments. You ask me about a 2022 Yankees playoff game, I'm gonna be like, which one was that? What was it? And that's not how 09, other Yankee playoffs are. I would remember every single thing, but I have like no memory of postseason games now because I'm not inputting, I'm outputting during them. And I'm like,
that's a
little bit of a bummer.
Totally.
Yeah, I know. That's a really, really good point. I used to joke, and I still do, too. Thank you, Mitch Hedberg. That I call it the Yu-Gi-Oh effect. Like I watched that first season growing up. Like that was the coolest thing ever. We were all there. We're like, oh my gosh, Yu-Gi-Oh was the best. And when he would play the game, he would turn into this different person, right? And then he would have like no memory of it after. And I feel that way so much when I'm doing any podcast or live streaming like that. It's not like this is not my genuine self. It's just a different brain clicks on.
Oh, totally.
And then way to do it, like the U-turn, U-turn and everything. That's exactly right. So getting past the feeling of this all and everything, obviously you have to stay coordinated and scheduled really well, right? And for example, for us, what we use for all of our articles, because we have over 100 part-time staffers here at Pitcher List, with managers and people doing writing and graphics for those articles, and our database engineers and our WordPress developers, etc. To stay coordinated with that can be really difficult. And even, Mark, it's you still have this entire schedule of stuff you want to be doing with your editor as well. Jimmy, you have all these different projects. How do you guys stay coordinated, not just as a massive company, but even for yourself when it comes to your daily schedule? Mark, let's start with you.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have a lot less responsibilities to take care of just because everything is through me. So if I don't do something, it's my fault. That's why it didn't happen. So the way that I try to like take things and make it not so scheduled, because that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this job in the first place, was I didn't want it to feel like a 9 to 5 every single day. I like the idea that if I want to record at 3 o'clock or if I want to record at 9 o'clock at night, like that gives me that freedom. But during, like, at the beginning of the week, I like to at least think about what videos I want to get done for that week. And then the next week happens, same thing. I have like a list of 100 video ideas that I try to keep fresh all the time. And if I ever have a day where I'm struggling, go to that, do one of those videos. But yeah, it's a little bit different just because, like, at the end of the day, if something doesn't get done, it is my fault. And there's like no one else to look at. So I'm not as scheduled as probably you guys, but I also have a lot less people relying on me as well.
Sure. Do you have like a published calendar at all that you try and follow each year, or
No.
like that?
I mean, a lot of it, because I've now been doing YouTube full time for like 5 years, like since 2019. And a lot of it is like cyclical because, like, again, like my 12 days of rankings, I know when those are happening. I know like when the season starts, these videos are going to do well. So it's maybe not as like, you know, written down, this is what day it's going to come out, but I know the genuine time frame of when I want to upload X video.
Sure. Yeah. Jimmy, how about you guys?
We have a ton of tools. I mean, we have 60 full-time employees, and we have so many different projects that have different people on them. So the company uses monday.com to use a lot of the calendars and tracking and tagging people. I actually don't use that a ton, but, you know, for all our producers with ads, you know, what ads do we have to say and all that stuff? That's all on there.
Yeah.
My Google Calendar I live on that. So that's every morning on the way to work. I look, what do I have today? And hopefully it's not too crazy. I am a big fan of Google Sheets. So like all the entities that I kind of like executive producer really in part of the planning, we have these master Google Sheets that have like, this is the record date schedule, this is the release date schedule for a lot of our channels. Like the Warehouse has that, JM Baseball has that. I believe JM Gaming is using the format that I developed there, which is just my brain. It's like a crazy format. It's just like, this is the easiest for me to view. And then other people, hopefully it's not terrible for them. But we're the whole company's on Slack at all times. I would say those are the main 3 organizational tools.
We I mean, we do Discord. We actually were on Slack in 2017. Oddly enough, I don't think many people know this. It was like only 10 to 15 people or so at Pitcher List then, and then we opened up QB List because some of our staffers wanted to do football stuff, and I said why, but then I said fine, okay. And one of them came on and said, "Hey, we should just get a Slack." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense. We have enough people now to do this." But they delete messages after the first 10,000, and I didn't know that at the time if it's free, right? And I wasn't ready to spend like $10 a month for every single user and all that. So in 2018, that year, we realized, oh man, how do we get people to sign up with Patreon at $10 a month? And I paced endlessly in my kitchen, being like, what is a good price point for this? Because this is if you spend $10 a month and you get to all the answers to all of your fantasy questions for $10 a month, that feels like it's super low of a price. But at the same time, like $10 a month is a lot of money, you know, so another side of it. So eventually just to do that, invite them into Slack. And then we realized like within like 5 days, all of our messages were just getting deleted. So we couldn't, if we spent $10 for everyone who spent $10 a month, and then we're just not making anything. So we then found Discord, and that's when it was young. It just started up, and I was just trying to find alternates, and one was like, yeah, maybe this Discord thing. And I took a look at it. We moved in 2018. We called the Great Discord Migration of 2018. And all of our staff is there now, and our community. And it's made this nice little way for people to, it's not fractured because our staff lives there anyway. We're able to make it private and everything like that. It's been really helpful for us. We're fortunate to have that as far as coordination goes with the staff, and especially with everyone being remote. But we don't use Monday. We use Notion for all of our article stuff, which is really helpful for our editors to go in and see what's ready. And there's a whole good system of knowing what graphics are ready inside of it as well. And then when the publish expectations are, it's a fantastic system. We used to literally just have an article scheduled channel inside of Discord where they would just post, hey, this article is ready. And then editor would give like a checkbox emoji, stuff like that, you know? But yeah, Monday's a great one too for just overall projects. And as far as calendar goes, something I actually started to do about a couple months ago, which is so good, is I realized that I needed like 3 things. One, I needed like a to-do list tracker, just something that was like the little things that I keep forgetting about. I needed some place to just say, okay, Nick, don't forget about this little thing or that. I also wanted to have a calendar that I could take notes on the events inside of it. It's really helpful if you have like a meeting with somebody to say like, okay, great, I want to remember to talk about this stuff or like reflect back on it. And then I also wanted, I mean, there's so many great AI tools now that do your AI assistant inside of a Google meeting, and they're free, and or like they're like $5 a month or something like that. And I found one that did all three of these, and it's called Fellow app. And it's amazing. I can't I went through like 20 different one of these with Josh. I'm not concerned to be like, okay, which is the best one? This is the one that does those three things. I think it's like $17 a month for the AI tools and everything I want. And I get transcriptions of every meeting I have now. And I also get a video recording of it. And I cannot tell you how useful that is for like doing interviews with people, or just having my daily meeting with Miles, our COO. Like, there it is. Everything we talked about is right there, and we can go back to it and check on it. I do a daily today in review, what I plan to do. And then also at the end of the day, I review again, saying these are the things that I did. And then this is also, don't forget about this stuff for tomorrow. And it has made me so much more productive doing that. And I cannot recommend that one enough, just to kind of stay centralized as all. I mean, Mark, you must have something that is like the notepad you have or something like that.
I mean, yeah, I use Google Docs as just like kind of where I'll throw
sure.
out like anything that I'm thinking at the time. Like I have
Right.
like my TikTok one, I have my video one, I have like, that's where the majority of like my, you know, whatever garbage is going on in my brain that I want to throw out. And that's where it can live and stay. It's not organized though. Like it's something I wish I was more organized. Like I wish I could be. It's just, I've never been someone who was like very regimented and organized, like with blocking things out like that. But that's also like how I work best, is just kind of being able to free flow. And when I want to, you know, come do this video, I'll just jump on it. I don't need to have had it scheduled like a week out. But yeah, organization, I mean, it definitely helps, I think.
Oh, sure. And yeah, Jimmy, you must have some sort of note taking.
I use the Notes app a ton. So any thought I have, I throw in the Notes app. And then from there, I'll copy and paste it to like a Google Doc and invite other people. I have some Notes app that are shared with our EA or you know, some producers that will you know, hey, this is what I'm thinking, or you know, check the list and stuff. Sometimes it just a place to quickly dump all my thoughts in my brain onto my phone, but then I'll usually copy and paste onto a Google Doc and rearrange it and send it out. But I have a ton of Notes apps.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, Google Sheets, of course, like that's always at the end of the day. PitchCon was done in a Google Sheet. Okay. That's like the quickest and easiest one. I'm like, all right, I need a sheet for something here. We just throw it in there. With all these other apps, it can then become overwhelming to having all the random Google Sheets essentially that you want to make. Anyway, I'm very much inside of it. Actually, we're saying, I saw some conference of like video game designers, and they said, yeah, about 90% of our job is Google Sheets, because like the variables they add for everything and what needs assets and everything like that. And it's just, oh my gosh, Google Sheets is just everything these days. And so going back to kind of you guys both do incredible YouTube work, and I'm pretty sure I know the answer to these, but still, just what do you use for video recording and editing and to get those out efficiently? Jimmy, we'll start with you.
So I mean, for the podcast, we have, you know, the Shure mics, the SM
7B,
7B mics, and different cameras all over. Like this studio actually has different cameras than the rest of our office, but most of them are the BG1 Lumex cameras. That's like most of our office. Yeah, these are Blackmagic that we're using here. Yeah, and then but I mean, Mac computers and the actual like programs will be Streamlabs or OBS. Zoom will go right in there if we're at, you know, different locations. Mm-hmm. And then all the Adobe suite I use to edit everything, or Photoshop or Encoder and Audition and Premiere. I use all of that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Snagit's like a really like underrated application. So I don't use Snagit anymore because I don't really do this, but I think our social team probably still uses it a bunch. It's a screen recorder that you just can record your screen, and then as soon as you hit stop, you can just like toggle to what you want, and then click GIF, and then
Yeah, there you go.
Drag it to your
Right.
Twitter. I mean,
Man,
back
you
in,
guys have it so easy now. Okay.
well,
I remember back in the day, I had to get like the most virus-looking program ever called freescreenrecorder.exe. And there were like 20 other ones that were super worse, lower frame rates, did not know how to do it. And eventually, finally, MP4 was a thing. And keep in mind, 2014, MP4 was still kind of like, what is that? Who knows? Oh my gosh, it's so easy now. I mean,
well,
I mean,
in
use
2017,
OBS even to screen record. You know, that's why I often do it.
I found Snagit in 2017 when I started putting GIFs on Twitter, and back then everyone was scared to cover baseball because of all the copyright strikes. I had nothing to lose.
Yeah,
so
right.
At that point, I was the only account putting GIFs from the game on Twitter right after. Now people might be shocked because it's everywhere now and everyone does it, but it truly was like me and Pitching Ninja were the only two accounts.
How dare you, Jimmy? How dare you? We were pitcher gifts.
Oh yeah, I love pitcher, and I loved you because you always had vote on the best pitcher of the week. So yeah, you guys were as well. But it was small. It wasn't like now it's everywhere. You
can't. Oh right, yeah. I purposely actually like moved away from it because I couldn't just watch the games anymore. That was what I was focusing my attention on.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? Let's do this other as much. We still have that coming back and everything, but it's
people would always be like, how are you so fast? How are you doing this so fast? And I was like, Snagit's very easy. And it still is.
Yeah.
It's just not 60 frames per second. So I don't use it anymore because I notice that too much now.
Yep.
And it bothers me, especially when like slow-mo pitches.
Yeah, it's like also the frame skips make certain pitches look better than they are.
Yeah. So So it's 30 frames per second. So I don't use it anymore. But for a while I used it for everything.
Yeah. Yeah, super, super helpful there. And then for you, Mark.
Yeah, I mean, when I start to learn how to edit and do all that, I came up on Final Cut because as well, I'm a Mac guy. PC makes no sense to me whatsoever. So when I edit, I'll use Final Cut. And in my videos, like nothing is particularly like intricate or tough with the editing. So like Final Cut gets the job done, but I know everybody uses Adobe Premiere as well. It's really good. And then Photoshop obviously is like a huge one for me because I do all the thumbnails for the channel. So that's what I feel more comfortable with. Even sometimes I know how to use Illustrator just because in college I was an advertising major. So that was like a big program we had to learn. And I will say when I need to use it, it's incredibly helpful, but it's something that is like so niche because it really is like more of an art app rather than Photoshop. But yeah, I mean, like similar type of equipment. I have like a different setup when I'm doing like Zoom calls or StreamYard, where like I have a Sony like A600 set up with like the Elgato stuff and then the Elgato mic. But then for my videos, I'm using like a Shure microphone that's off to the side right now. I've been using this same Canon G7X for like 8 or 9 years. It's been incredibly reliable. Never broke once, which is awesome. And like for people trying to get into it, you don't obviously need these crazy big cameras or anything like that to start. But like something like this cost like $800 or $600 when I first bought it. And it's lasted the tail of time. So I highly recommend like all the stuff that I use just because in terms of streamlining and ease, it feels the easiest for me.
Yeah, iPhones work now too. Like when I do my social media videos that are just like half the screen's my face, or when we do things you miss, which my face is on, or if I ever put my face on a breakdown, that's just my iPhone, and I just airdrop it to myself. They're pretty reliable.
It's unbelievable how good they are now.
Just change your settings to 60 frames per second.
Yeah,
yes, look a lot nicer.
Way better that way. I mean, as far as microphones go, I've gone back and forth a little bit. I have a Shure SM7B. I also have RE20s. And I don't know, for whatever reason, I just like the heftiness of the RE20. There's something about it, even though I'm not like holding it now, there's just something to that for me. And I've so badly wanted to get like a blue windscreen for it. That's like to match properly and everything, the whole blue and black aesthetic that we have. But as far as, you know, I'm a 2-monitor, build your own PC kind of guy. And OBS, Streamlabs, super easy. It's even easier than it used to be now. And it's, you know, I have a Stream Deck as well to jump through any sort of live stream stuff that I would want to do. And now I'm on Playback instead of Twitch because it's allowing us to do live sports, which is just incredible. And it's super fun to do that. But Also, I mean, I know you guys are using MacBooks, but I don't care. You got to have a custom keyboard. And the one thing about this is that I have a keycap that's just
fancy.
for pictureless here.
Oh, how about that?
All right. So that's really the winner. That is, you can't have a good company without a keycap of your logo. But as far as all this stuff goes, we just do an Audacity thing. And this is something I preach to everybody is it is so easy to make your voice sound better for a podcast. There is a YouTube video that I found about, 6 years ago. And it is the most simple thing on Audacity. You just do these settings once. You can save it as a chain. And then you just take your whole audio and you say apply chain. You don't even need to do the settings again. Just wait like 30 seconds or however fast your computer is, and it's done. And oh my gosh, it just changes everything. You have different volume levels of everyone. Doesn't matter. Smatters them together. We're all good. It just instantly makes things better. And obviously little things like getting close to the mic and instead of being back here, being over here, it changes the entire sound of it. And just really takes everything to another level with that. I am really curious about thumbnails because this is something that is, I don't know, like a lot of different opinions about how do you make a good YouTube thumbnail and the process that goes into it. And I imagine at the beginning, you guys spent a lot of time getting the thumbnail right. Now you're like, okay, we know what this is and we don't really need to deal with it anymore. Like Mark, how did you change your process of thumbnails and where are you at with it now?
Yeah. The big switch for me came in like 2019 when things started to like pop off for me. And part of the reason why was like a thumbnail can look great, can be like the best design graphic ever. Like it looks so clean, but it could be a terrible thumbnail. The goal of the thumbnail is to get someone to click. The goal of the thumbnail is to catch someone's attention, hopefully bring them to your video. And once that kind of like clicked in my head, which I know sounds like crazy, but for a while it just didn't really resonate. You start to like look at YouTube differently. Like most of the time when I'm looking at YouTube, I'm seeing which thumbnail am I drawn to? What do I like about it? Like that's a lot of the mental side of things. And I mean, it's like as simple as like bright colors, big clear pictures, like it just making it simple, but also like concise and to the point is really big. And a lot of times for like the videos that I do, it's not necessarily like the first of its kind in terms of like what's been on YouTube. Like I do a lot of tier lists. The way that I came up with my tier list idea video was I saw this one YouTuber like tier list presidents. And I was like, wow, that thumbnail is great. This is a great idea. Let's do it with baseball. And then I do my own spin on what I want my tier list thumbnail to look like. So there's a lot of proof of concept out on YouTube, which people don't seem to realize. And like 10 minutes of research, you'll get 100 different thumbnails that you look at, and you'll be able to figure out which ones do best and which ones do worse.
If you had to say like one thing, say, cool, this is what defines the best thumbnail as far as like, do this, not that, what would you say?
I think that if you can minimize text on a thumbnail, I think that's really big. If you can get across your video without throwing a ton of text on the screen or any text at all, I think that's when you're able to find something that really has a chance to catch some attention.
Awesome. Yeah. Jimmy, what would you say about that?
I don't make thumbnails anymore. We have a lot of people that do it and put a lot of thought into it and like test them. And we always look at like a bunch of the data. I don't read the titles at all. So like we even internally disagree on this and like amongst our crew, because when I am scrolling YouTube, I don't read the text at the bottom. I just read the thumbnails. So if there's no text on the thumbnail, I never click it. But I don't know. I think thumbnails is a big like dilemma of, do you want to hate yourself or not? Because,
I did this. I actually have like all these cutouts of me with different reactions. And we did one thumbnail of it. And I said, never mind.
I'm
not doing this anymore.
I don't care about that. I'll do the like, whoa face, like every single thumbnail. As long as nothing wrong. Clicks.
It's just, I quit. I saw myself once and I was like, I want to hide somewhere forever. And I just can't.
Yeah. We've done a lot of testing and like a lot of it comes down to, proper nouns help a lot. Like that's the biggest differentiator we've found between thumbnail and title, kind of one and the same. And crazy play by shortstop makes crazy play will do a lot worse than even like a C level shortstop, because YouTube then knows, oh, this was this player and this player is also in these videos and this group of people watch those types. So it's more like getting that SEO in the title. Like we found that if we put Team USA, it doesn't really matter the sport. Like that they know exactly where to send that. It's not that people see Team USA and they're like, I want to click that. Is that YouTube will then know where to send that to. Same with like Team Australia loses and crazy ending. So that's kind of what we've like learned a little bit is there. And then the biggest thing is to not deceive. So I'd rather not get a crazy click-through rate and then have a terrible engagement rate. That would like, I would like that less than having a medium click-through rate, but a great engagement rate.
Yeah, you want to get the trust of the watchers so that they return for more. Absolutely, you know,
you need to be able to scale and like
absolutely. That's great. And as far as just you know, obviously I have more of the website side, and that's kind of interesting when it comes to media companies these days because I mean I say this often, I don't recommend starting a website now.
We're about to.
Oh, you're about to? Is that right?
Yeah, we're deep in the process. You need, you know, a company our size, how much we have going on. Like we need a home base.
Yeah.
Same with you guys.
So tell us more about that.
I haven't been involved. So we have a team that's been working on, I think we're getting the first demo available. Like I told them like kind of what I wanted and what we want. And there's going to be iterations of like, you know, what goes live in April or May. Isn't the final thing, but you know, we just need a home for all our content, maybe content that's not getting released or early releases people can see on the website or full schedules of what's going on.
That's great.
And access there as well as, we need like for our warehouse games, we have all the stats on these Google Sheets, these master logs,
you got to put that.
And I need like a warehouse reference for people to be able to.
You need a warehouse team for the warehouse team.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome, man. And so correct me if I'm wrong. You're seeing this more as just a hub, as opposed to brand new content that is unique to the website.
Yes, yeah, more of just for now, just a hub.
Yeah, sure, yeah. No, I think that's part of it that I feel is important to have. Regardless, is just like cool. Where is the place that people can find you and understand you, and then being able to get sent out other places? Like there's Linktree, for example, is a simple one that can be very helpful. As just saying, hey. I'm Nick Pollack. Here's the stuff that I have. You can go and find. And of course, as you expand, having that natural hub makes a ton of sense. So Marc, I mean, right now is just, hey, go to my YouTube page. That's what it is. Yeah.
I mean, like essentially my website is my YouTube page. That's the thing that, you know, I use Twitter, I use Instagram, I use TikTok to push everybody eventually to the YouTube page.
Sure.
It would be like more work for no real benefit for me to end up having a website that would eventually just lead you more back to my YouTube videos. So trying to make that process as streamlined as possible and just, hey, you want to see Draft Nick Marc content, go to my YouTube channel. That's where it's going to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, one element for us that really changed kind of our trajectory and helped us do the stuff we wanted to do, because when it comes to revenue stream for us, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. It's ads on our website, it is podcast revenue, and then it's subscriptions. And the thing that allows us to not only build our community, but make it so that we are not so heavily reliant on the fluctuation that is ads. And, you know, okay, we have a general understanding of how everything performs, but having a subscription service means great. We can actually understand, you know, be more consistent month to month. It's generally the direction of a lot of content creators and media companies is going in that direction of subscriptions. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jimmy. I don't think Jomboy has a subscription right now, do they?
We had a Patreon, but when we got our funding in 2022 or whenever that was, we said we're good. You know, we just it felt odd, and it was really a burden. We were a really small team at that point, and we felt like we had to deliver extra stuff and new stuff for the people supporting us, and it was you know, pressure. And we were dealing with a lot. So we're like, let's relieve ourselves. We have a bigger team now. And we actually have so much content that we make that doesn't fit our release calendar. Mm-hmm. So we'll do like test games in the warehouse and they're hilarious, but we don't have a spot on them on the calendar, or we'll film stuff and then it's copyright claims. So now it's just sitting there. So we are going to release something, but it's not like new and exclusive, can only be found here. It's more like, hey, if you have been with us for a while, you love our stuff, you want some perks of, you know, media that the content is never going to go out. Also, you know, early access and inside access and discounts to shows and
Right.
early tickets like that. It's more going to be that feel than trying to just be like, the next season is on the website only. Like, I don't
Yeah,
wanna do
I don't think that is something, honestly, is a good idea,
No
because
one's
you
doing that
want to
anymore.
you want
yeah.
to create the largest audience possible.
Yes.
And the more that you put that behind the paywall, like I've said always, hey, no article is going to be on our paywall. The only article that is an early access thing that I would never have released publicly otherwise. And now I am going to later than I wouldn't have. Right. That's because I want people to find me. I want people to discover it and then be really into this and say, cool, here are things that are scalable. Because that was a problem we had too when we initially did Patreon, is that I used to promise a bonus podcast, and I used to say that I would, we had a Pitch Was VIP, which was us as a fantasy coach for people, but that's just really hard to figure out the time for that.
Yep.
And that's a really difficult thing, where it was a lot of money, and understandably, man, that's great. But also I can't have that guarantee. Right.
Yeah.
So finding that way to do something that's scalable, that isn't extra work, but also is a benefit that's just naturally there. So for us, I mean, it was having access to the community inside of our Discord, which, by the way, also made it gated, which is fantastic and prevents trolls, and it allows us to create a community that we actually like. We've only had to ban 2 people, believe it or not,
Whoa,
since the start of it. Just that's it. Just 2. One
That's
person
nice.
did an Infinity War spoiler. And the other person was just incredibly racist right at the start of COVID. And we're like, well, you're not welcome here. Goodbye. And that's the thing, too. I imagine, in these situations, it's just so easy. Like, I don't want your money. Like, we're okay. Yeah. We don't need to bend over for this.
Yeah. People have no idea. Like, don't ban people. Of course you can ban people. Imagine you have like a party at a public park, and then this guy is walking up and just screaming like, you guys suck. Hey. This party sucks. Everyone at this party's a loser. You'd be like, dude, get out of here.
Yep.
And you'd ask him to be removed. People are like, oh, you're so soft. You're banning me. It's like, yeah, dude, you're ruining a time that we are all enjoying.
Yeah.
And obviously we've dealt with that before, where someone tries to be really loud and stuff. And the lessons I've learned of this is that's a fire in a barrel, let it just burn out, and don't go and engage on it. Don't go bring that barrel something else. Don't feed it. Just, it's doing the thing. Like, I don't acknowledge that you exist. And you can do whatever you want, and don't negotiate with terrorists. But I mean, having that $10 a month requirement meant that no one's just going to do that and then go in and get out kind of thing. And that really has made it so that we now have a large enough community that when that happens, I don't even need to do anything. The whole community will say, like, this is not, no, you're not welcome. And just itself. And that's been a kind of crazy, awesome part of, I need to find a scalable solution that works and has all these people involved. And it's been really, really helpful for us. Mark, I'm sure you've explored this in some way, especially with YouTube's premium and subscribe monetization that they have.
Yeah, I've looked into it, definitely more so on the Patreon side of things, something that I'm considering for this upcoming year. But similar to you guys, it's not that I ever want to make content that's only going to be behind a paywall, especially because you followed me because my stuff was free on YouTube. That's how you found me. So I don't ever want to stop you from being able to find content that I make. But I like you can use it to build a community. You can use it to build perks. Like you said, you can be in the Discord and interact with people. Maybe it's something along the lines of you do a 1 hour stream once a month where people can ask you questions. Something along those lines where it's bonus content, but not content that you are missing out on if you don't partake in it.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, as far as social media management goes, this is something that we've really opened our eyes to. Is there's so many different places that we want to be able to send things.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of suites out there. So Hootsuite is a super popular one. There's Social Sprout, for example. Mark, I think you were saying that you just do this all yourself.
Yeah, it's all on my phone. It's
Unreal.
Always been something that I don't want to say I take pride in, but my Twitter, I want it to have my voice. I want everything to be my voice. And whether that's Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, I don't want it to ever be something that feels like it was corporate or, changed in any way. And I don't think that it would. But yeah, like I used TweetDeck back in the day. I think like when I first was getting started for Twitter stuff, and it's definitely good. But like for what I was doing on Twitter personally, it just didn't serve me any purpose. I like answering tweets on my phone and tweeting from my phone better, and that's where I'm using them too. Like I'm using Twitter, Instagram, TikTok on my phone. So there's no real benefit for me, at least, to have any of these kind of sweet apps to help me out.
That makes sense. Jimmy, how about you?
I believe we don't use any of those either. I think we tried the social team, which is, a collection of people for the company, to try to use a bunch, maybe TweetDeck, but TweetDeck slows my computer down so much that I want to like fight it personally. So I stopped using that really quick. But I think our social team is all native, scheduling it on the platforms that they are. A lot of the platforms, they help you out more if you edit inside of it. Like if you do a TikTok or an Instagram reel, if you pre-edit it and then upload it, like they kind of want you to put some flair in the app, and use it, or some sounds and stuff like that. But I believe we don't use anything. We use Tubular to track stats, but I don't think we use like a scheduler or Hootsuite or any of that.
Yeah, we're using Simplified at the moment. What's really helpful about it is our social is a little interesting. Of like, it's the @Pitcher List handle, which is really my handle, and it has been forever. And it's so weird because we have articles that we want to put on it all the time, and that's just an instant. Hey, WordPress article goes to Twitter. Our writers know, like, cool, put in the thing that has your handle in it, so it's your article, everything like that. We also have Eli Sussman, Jessica Roscoe have really helped a lot, just ensuring that all these tweets are good for the podcast coming out, having something mainly put. And what Simplified does, which is really helpful, is it just kind of organizes everything and says, okay, we know that opening day we're going to have this thing. We're going to have this thing for July. It has a whole calendar where you can see across the different things. Like, here are the things you're putting on different stuff. We have the pitcher breakdown articles, videos that we do, or in the ones with players, and just be able to say, like, great, on this day we're going to put this one out over here, and just see it all from by stepping back, can be incredibly helpful. And it also ties into another question I saw in chat, and I had it here too, is AI tools. This is kind of wild. The last year, it's just completely changed. Where with OpenAI and ChatGPT being going from 6.5 to really to 4 is. There's been so many wrappers, which essentially is saying, hey, we're a program that knows how to use ChatGPT to get the thing that you want really easily. And whether we like it or not, they are going to be super helpful for us in the upcoming year. I'm curious if you guys have looked into any at all specifically. Jimmy?
No, I have no idea, like, that world at all. I'm scared to look into it.
They can be so helpful, Mark.
Yeah, I've used it a couple times, just to like it piqued my curiosity. There was like one TikTok in particular. I'm like, I'm gonna let them build the outline. So I typed in what the premise of the video was going to be, and I said, write me an outline for this that you think is going to be, interesting for a 60-second short form video.
Right.
And I did, and it did really well. The video, like, the outline made a lot of sense. It still gives you the ability to change things. You don't have to follow it.
Right.
I wanted to see how it would build it out. And the way that it built it out made a lot of sense and made it easier for me to record this piece of content rather than like spend like an hour of my time trying to figure out exactly what I wanted the intro to sound like, how to build it out.
Yeah, there's what I find so fascinating about it is that there's a lot of negativity about it, and I absolutely agree with what people are negative about.
Yes.
It shouldn't be, hey, look, you're just going to replace all of our graphic designers with AI people. No, but our graphic designers do use Adobe's AI tools. And I'm not talking about Adobe Illustrator, Mark. Okay. I'm talking about AI, artificial intelligence, to actually fill in gaps here and there, used by Adobe. Right. And we actually even saw in the great graphics draw off last night, turning that Cole Reagan's image into him walking all of a sudden, which was great. That's a really helpful way of doing it. But and also, we're not going to replace our writers. I actually remember being in an airport talking to Miles about different content we do, and someone turned around and said, well, why don't you just replace your writers with AI generated? I'm like, never going to do that. Right. I feel so strongly about it. I mean, you saw Jared Diamond and and Ben Lindbergh and Evan Drellich earlier today talking about this. And like, no, there's a heart and soul about this.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean that we can't use AI to help us understand prompts and content and like structures.
Yeah.
That's a really, really helpful thing. And we shouldn't just be using AI and then sending it off Sports Illustrated and wonder why they're under now. We should be there's a lot of different ways to use it just from an information standpoint quickly of like, cool, we can use this and to help the creative process, but also little things like erasing a background. There's erase.ai. I just go there and there it is gone. Like, I know that you guys have the Photoshop skills and everything like that, but there are a lot of little random tools out there from it. And I'm starting to discover a ton of them. And part of the job I find now is just the internet has solutions for 20 million things. And I just want to know what all of them are and trying to find them that can make me more efficient with all this. Like, I discovered Notion 2 years ago. I was like, this is what we needed. Okay, great. I had no idea that existed. And part of that process as well. And if anyone listening right now, I didn't really go into kind of the whole WordPress and starting website and what that means and having hosting costs and everything like that. If anyone has any questions at all about that, just send me an email at info@pitcherlist.com or on Twitter inside of Discord, any of that. I love talking about that, but I know that like I didn't want to, there's so much stuff for us to talk about here and we're already at the top of the hour. And I really can't thank you guys enough for being here for this. This is just a fun behind the hood. I'm sure you guys don't really get to do a lot. And you guys are experts at it now. You've been doing this for years and years. And it's like, you only have to do that face. Like, no, you've learned these business skills too, whether you like it or not. And is there any advice that you would have for anyone kind of jumping into it now, Jimmy?
Just do it. You need a cell phone and that's all you need. Everyone always asks, what would your advice be to start? Just start. Like nothing. Like if you really want the will to do it and to be consistent is the only thing you need.
Yes. Consistency, 100% consistency there.
There's
Marc?
no tools or tricks or like sneaks. Just got
100%. Marc?
He stole what I was going to say. Just do it. Like there's really no excuse not to. If you want to make a video, make it. If it does terribly, figure out how to make it better. Like there's really no reason you can't start your own YouTube channel, can't start your own TikTok, can't start your own Instagram. And eventually, like you'll either like it or you won't. And give it a shot. There's no reason not to try. And it's a lot of fun. I think it's a lot of fun. And if you can turn it into a career, you can turn it into a job or even a side hustle, even better.
I mean, that's awesome. Kids have it so easy these days. There are more tools than ever, more tools than we even know about. CapCut. Oh my gosh. Oh yeah. That's great for just taking clips and everything. And then here's captions for it. Game changer. Stuff like that. It's so huge. Look into all of those things and take advantage of them now. But thank you guys so much for being here.
I have one follow-up for you.
Please.
Alex, in what he did last hour at the very end, he piqued my interest. He said, I don't know how many lefties are out there throwing splitters. There's one, basically, that are throwing splitters more than 10% of the time. And it is, do you know, Nick? There's one pitcher, reliever, and Oldest Chapman is 7%. So, but there's like 10 guys that are 7%. It's 40%. It's his most thrown pitch. He's a lefty reliever.
I know. I can see him literally doing it right.
Who
is it? Oh, Shreve. I'm upset I didn't get that. Okay.
Former Met, former Yankee.
He said that, and I was like, that's interesting. Are there lefties that throw splitters?
Okay. I think the reason why is because a splitter can work to right-handers more effectively than I think a circle change.
Well, I think lefties are already deceptive because majority of batters are righties, so they don't need to go
can have the circle change.
Yeah,
they have the circle change already most of the time. It's like they just, you're lefty. This is the first thing you have to learn to get here.
Yeah,
and then righties like, I don't want to throw my ring finger.
Yeah,
so they got to figure out the split change later on. But that's interesting. Only one guy, Shreve. Oh my gosh.
At least last year, there's only one.
Yeah. Well, everybody expected Shreve to come up today, so I appreciate you so much for that. No, really great seeing you guys. Thanks so much for being a part of this. And I can't believe we got past the $10,000 goal. And you guys can say you were here when it happened.
Yeah, it was us. It was all us.
It was us.
Yeah.
Definitely us.
That final dollar, we did it.
All right, take care, guys. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you. See ya.